Hey everybody, I'm Amanda with DevExpress and welcome to What's New in VCL 14.1 presented by DevExpress CTO and all-around Delphi geek, Julian Bucknall. You'll see the new controls, features, and enhancements in DevExpress VCL 14.1. He'll be showing off the new VCL Spreadsheet Control, the CTP of the gauge controls, how to edit a row's data inside the grid, and we'll play a bit with the new map control. Thank you for joining us. I will now hand things over to Julian Bucknall.
Thanks, Amanda. Welcome, everybody. I am Julian Bucknall. I'm the CTO of DevExpress, and those of you who know me from old know that I cut my teeth on Delphi way back. And I'm here to talk about what's new in VCL from DevExpress for 14.1. If you recall, we do two major releases a year, the year number .1 and the year number .2. So this is the new release for the first half of the year, 14.1. So what do we have here in 14.1? First of all, there is a new spreadsheet control. We've had a spreadsheet control as part of the product for a while, but it's grown old and stale. In fact, has various significant limitations. So we've created from scratch a brand new spreadsheet control. A new map control, and this one is all about displaying some variety of map, be it a road map or be it a satellite map of some area of the world. And it's great for things like dashboards or stuff like that, where you're creating an application where you're displaying some kind of data and you want to show it mapped onto, say, states or countries or whatever it happens to be. So we'll be looking at that in a moment. There is a new gauges control. This is a customer preview. We haven't quite finished it for 14.1. We'll be publishing it, the real version, if you like, a little later on in a minor release. So this is kind of better than beta, but not quite releasable. So there are a couple of little things still to fix with it. So new gauges, we'll be looking at those in a moment as well. In the Quantum Grid, which is, after all, our very first product ever as DevExpress, was the Quantum Grid for Delphi, 3, I think. It now has a new in-place edit form, and I'll be talking about what that actually means and how it's good for you in your applications. And there have been other enhancements and fixes product-wide. Examples of that are the ribbon control. I won't be showing these, but in essence, at runtime, you can customize the ribbon, and there are some miscellaneous enhancements with regard to the layout control, for example. So, the spreadsheet. As I said just now, this has been designed and written from the ground up. This is not the old spreadsheet modified or fixed or whatever you like to call it. We realized early on that the spreadsheet as was just was not a control for 2014. So we've rewritten the spreadsheet control completely. We have full support for XLSX formats as well as XLS and other binary formats. There's things like in-place cell editing. There's full row and column management. You can add rows and columns, insert them, I should say. You can delete them. You can modify individual row heights and column widths. So everything you expect with regard to rows and columns as entities from, say, Excel is there in the spreadsheet control. We've added a full set of operators and functions from Excel, so all of the familiar functions that you use currently in your spreadsheet files, they're all there. Things like date and time, financial, math, trig. I love trig. Statistical and all that kind of functionality. There's full worksheet management as well. Add new worksheets, delete them, rename them. You can reference worksheets by their name in formulas, for example. And it's for RAD Studio 2010 or above. This is something we've decided to do for 14.1 is all new controls for 14.1 are only for the later versions of Delphi and C++ Builder. In particular, they are not supported by Delphi 7 and not supported by Delphi 2007. Many reasons for this, obviously, spreadsheet, Unicode, all that kind of stuff. But it's also, you know, the language has changed, and we need to use you know, new language features, especially as a lot of this code for the spreadsheet has been converted from our spreadsheets in other platforms like Windows Forms or ASP.NET. So I've warned about this for quite some time. We are eventually going to be dropping support for Delphi 7 and Delphi 2007. And this is, if you like, the first step in that direction. So the new spreadsheet is for 2010 or later, so the XE versions essentially. And I'll be looking at you know, the spreadsheet in real life in a moment. On to the map control. The map control is all about displaying maps. The map data has to come from somewhere. We have support for OpenStreetMap and also Bing Maps, and I must emphasize at this particular point in time that we do not license the data from OpenStreetMap and Bing Maps for you. You have to license that data yourself. OpenStreetMap is fairly open, hence the name. There are some restrictions with regard to the servers that provide the map tiles. So be aware of those. But in essence, you know, OpenStreetMap is you know, pretty usable as is. Bing Maps, you have to get a developer license from Bing. It's free unless you're going to be using an awful lot of data. And on our What's New pages online, you'll be able to find references to, or links I should say, to the how to get a developer license for Bing Maps. So be warned about that. Although we are providing a map control, we are not providing licenses to the actual data itself. We have support for multiple layers in the map control. Generally the bottom layer, if you like. So imagine your X and Y is your map, and the Z layer or Z layer is the layers, like pieces of paper on a desk or something. These multiple layers, the bottom layer is generally the map itself, and the other layers above have things like vector shapes and custom elements. You can have push pins, you can show road, so if you're doing some kind of route planner, or elements like text boxes on top of the map. We take care of the end user moving the map from side to side, panning the map, and you know, we'll make sure the elements on the layers above actually follow the map, and you'll see that in a while. The map control has built-in UI for the actual manipulation of the map, the end user manipulation of the map, so things like zooming into the map, panning the map, and so on and so forth. Again, I emphasize this is a RAD Studio 2010 or above. So no Delphi 7 or Delphi 2007 here. Next one up is the CTP of the gauges control. In this initial version, we're showing off our circular and digital gauges. And again, this is kind of for the dashboard look and feel, where you're trying to give your end users an at-a-glance look at their, you know, company's financial data, for example. You want to have some quick way for the end user to be familiar with, you know, the current status, if you like. There are multiple skins for these gauges. You can mix and match them. And again, it's Rad Studio 2010 or above. And now, instead of all this talk and just looking at PowerPoint slides, let's fire up Delphi XE6. So if you just give me a little moment here, I will jump over to this. Oh yeah, the blank screen. That's only because my what's it had kicked in. So Delphi XE6, I should say. Whoa, showing my age there. I should have started this earlier on. .1.2 is the release version. And let's just get rid of this and this. We don't really need it at the moment. Let's open up a new project here, and I'm going to go to, first of all, the spreadsheet. So let's open up my spreadsheet demos. And I'm going to start off with a kind of basic look at what the spreadsheet can do. So this is going to be a demo that's going to display an invoice, essentially. The invoice is a spreadsheet file. It's a XLSX file, in fact, and straight away you can notice several things. First of all is it looks an awful lot like Excel. Here I am in the spreadsheet itself. I can move from cell to cell by using my arrow keys. Notice there are different font sizes, there are different attributes to the text. So this is all supported. So let's have a bit of fun here. I tend to like my numbers, for example, shown as, oh, by the way, did you notice that? I've actually got a fixed or frozen pane. The first 16 rows are frozen on the screen, and I'm now scrolling below. So I'm going to take this selection here. I'm going to format the cells, and I'm going to align. I'm going to use right. So let's click on right, and we formatted those cells so that they display on the right. Notice we have full support for the different types of numeric formatting. This is a kind of currency type format. What else have we got here? So we have the fixed pane, which I just showed you. And as I drag the scroll bar down, you can see more and more of this particular spreadsheet, which is emulating an invoice, as I said. So things to notice here are the different fonts, the different attributes to the fonts, the different attributes to the text, I should say. Yeah, let's show how to modify column widths and so on and so forth, row heights as well, things like that. So the basic functionality of a spreadsheet application is already there in the spreadsheet control. Let's kill that one and have another look at something that we can do with a spreadsheet. This one is a demo which shows off custom functions. So because we are inside a Delphi application here, we can actually register some functionality with the spreadsheet that we can write in Delphi itself. This is a simple little spreadsheet. It shows something else new. Oh, here's an image. I can move the image around, for example. This is also an image. I can move that around as well. This little spreadsheet, it's an XLS file, allows me to calculate the area of a triangle given the two sides and the angle subtended between them. So as you all remember from your mathematics days, if the angle happened to be 90 degrees, for example, Let's turn on my numlock key here. That might actually help. Whoops. There we go. No, numlock. There we go, 90. I'm sure you could have calculated that yourself. If the angle between two sides is 90 degrees, it's just half the area, half the height times the base, which is what we're calculating here. This particular demo allows me to show the formulas being used here. And this cell down below is calling a function called triangle area. There is no function in Excel called triangle area. So we're going to see how this has been implemented in a moment. But it actually takes three parameters, which is this, this, and this, so the two sides and the angle between them. So let's kill the app, and we'll have a look at how triangle area has been defined. So let's open up the wrong app here. Whoops. Where are we? Oh, here it is. Duh. Can't see for looking. So let's have a look at the code. So first thing to notice is the way the demo has been created is there's some kind of base form, and then we're creating a form inherited from that base form. Things to notice here in particular are we have this the string called triangle area. This is the actual name of the function. During the form create, okay, we're loading up an XLSX file. And here's a nice bit of code here where we have a repository for new functions, and we're going to add a new function here. The name of the function is triangle area. That's that bit here. We're going to pass in some function, which I'm going to show in a moment. 3 parameters. That's about it, really. And here's the function itself. So the function API for the spreadsheet control requires a sender and a bunch of parameters, which is kind of an opaque object in some sense. We're going to be manipulating that object. Think of it as an array more than anything. Declare a few variants, and then providing the number of parameters is 3, then we're going to extract the numbers in the 3 parameters. So if you remember the 2 sides, P1 and P2 in this case, P3 is going to be the angle between them. This function here, method here, does the extract for us and will throw if it's not a number. And then we're going to add back to the sender the actual value of the cell. And there is our formula for the area of a triangle given 2 sides and the angle subtended between them. So this example shows you essentially that it's very easy to add your own, shall we say, business logic functions to a spreadsheet. If I opened this spreadsheet in Excel, Excel wouldn't know what to do with a function called triangle area. It would display an error. So this is one way of, if you like, being able to provide your end users with spreadsheets where the business IP, if you like, is stored within the application itself. So that's custom functions. Pretty easy to do. The parameters, if we go over here and then display the kind of things you can do, whoops. So there is, for example, extracting columns, rows, whoops, date times. We've seen numbers. So there's a whole bunch of methods here as part of this object, this sender object, where you can get at the data in these cells and then manipulate the data in the cells to provide a value that then the spreadsheet control will display inside the spreadsheet. So that's the spreadsheet. Oh, I keep on doing that. I do apologize. Start up XE6 again. Next thing we're going to look at is the map control. So let this come up again. There we go. Close this and close that. So the next one I'm going to do is have a quick look at the map control. So again here, the map control is essentially going to go to a server, get map tile data, and display it. We'll quickly look at the providers we support at the moment. So this particular application. Okay, let's make it full screen. So at the moment, this demo application centers in on the DevExpress offices in Glendale, Los Angeles. So we're roughly there. Things to notice about this: we're currently displaying a Bing hybrid map. So we're going out to the Bing servers. We're grabbing the tiles which show, the satellite view, plus also the road view. Down here we see the actual map UI for manipulating the map. There's a panning item here which you can use. There is a zoom facility here, so I can zoom in closer and closer. This shows me roughly where the mouse cursor is. As I move the mouse around, you can see I'm changing the longitude and latitude, and a scale of the current zoom level. Now, you could use this for zooming and panning, but in general, people like to grab hold of the map and just move it around. And obviously, yeah, as you can see, we support that. And zooming, I'm using my mouse wheel here, so I can zoom in and, whoops, I lost my map, zoom out. There we go. So here are the DevExpress offices, are at 505 North Brand Boulevard in Glendale. There's that building there. So let's have a quick look at what OpenStreetMap looks like. And there's the OpenStreetMap look view. So we're grabbing the data from OpenStreetMap servers. We can look at what it looks like in Bing, just as a road view, or maybe just as that kind of satellite view as well. So that's the basic functionality of the map control inside the VCL. There are two layers here. There's the this text box type layer, and there's this push pin as well, so you can view information put on top of the map, superimposed on the map. And this is great for not only this kind of view of a map where you're zooming in on roads and all that kind of stuff and plotting routes perhaps, but also here's an example of a map or the map control being used in a dashboard type sense. So here we have a current world view of the weather. So we have it's a map control. It's actually, I believe this one is OpenStreetMap, but we can zoom in and see information about, what the weather is like in particular places. And we're showing here not only the layers which show, the actual cities we've got under our control here, but also there's this floating tooltip that gives us more information about a particular city, for example, and we can drag and drop and all this. Sorry, drag and drop. Drag the map around to see other places, and let's go down to Australia just for fun. Oh, maybe I have to go the other way for Australia. Yes, I suppose. Oh, that's Antarctica. Tasmania, Australia. And so on. So this is a way of showing information, relevant information on a dashboard type application with the map control. And in reality, 14.1, not only in our .NET but also on VCL, is all about data visualization. It's all about providing controls which allow you, the developers, to display information in the best way possible for your end users, rather than just having a boring old grid. Boom. It's much better to have this kind of, more visual. I'm trying to use another word than visual, but a more obvious way of looking at data. After all, that particular application would be really boring if it was just, a grid of cities with, weather. It's much more interesting to see how the weather appears on a bunch of cities which are very close. So let's close all that. Don't want to save that. No. Next one I want to show you are the gauges. So let's have a quick look at the gauges, and open that. Let's switch to world time. There's an example of what you can do with the gauges. So this application shows the current time in Washington, Paris, and Moscow, as well as the time here in Colorado, which is where I live, which is where I'm broadcasting from. So it's roughly 11:30 here in Colorado. It's 1:30 in Washington, Paris, 6:30, Moscow, 9:30 in the evening. The interesting thing about this particular application is not only using circular gauges for a clock. Obviously, I've got a timer tick going on here where every second it updates all of the gauges, but I can resize. And so you can see that the gauges know how to resize themselves according to their client area. So you don't have to worry about getting things absolutely 100% correct. The gauges themselves will resize according to their the space they're allowed, essentially. So that's a fairly simple little demo. Styles demo is a basically shows off. Let's give it a value. So let me drag it to that value there. These are the kind of styles that we provide for the gauges. So Africa sunset, clean white, dark night, deep fire. This is current time again, and these are as I say, the themes the gauges currently support. Sample gauges. Let's look at that little demo quickly. And here, some examples of what you can do. Circular gauges. Again, I can resize. Everything looks good as I resize. Digital gauges. The various themes and what have you. Hybrid gauges are kind of fun, whereby you're basically going to merge two gauges together. So you can imagine, calls per minute or something like that if you're in that kind of situation, and then showing some other information alongside. So gauges, as I say, it's a CTP. The release will be in a minor release later on this year, probably in a month or so. Finally, I just want to show you the new features in the Quantum Grid. Now, because Quantum Grid is supported by Delphi 7, Delphi 2007, this new feature, the in-place edit form, is available in Delphi 7 2007. So here we are. Let's just run the application. Dum-de-dum. Okay, let's just cancel that for now and show you. Here we have a grid. It's grouped, so it's a kind of master detail look to it. So I'm grouping by category. It's a bunch of information about cars, and if I double-click one of these rows, what happens is a pane appears inside the grid, an edit form, appears inside the grid, which allows me to edit the data in the row I just clicked. So this is the row I just clicked for Lexus LS 430. So I can now edit that data. Let's pretend it's now got fuel injection, so it's a 430i, and I can update that, and lo and behold, it appears like that. There is this in-place editing has been around for a long time, so I could, if the number of pieces of data is fairly small, I could just use an in-place editing, so the row itself becomes editable. In-place edit form is what you just saw, so double-click, and I've got a basic complete form where I can modify a whole bunch of information, not just the information that's displayed in the grid. Or the alternative is the in-place edit form, but we're going to hide the current row. So I'm going to double-click here. Notice the current row has disappeared to be replaced in its entirety by the edit form itself. So it's now the Lux, and I update it, and the row appears and the edit has taken place. The interesting thing about this particular form is it's based on our layout control. So you can, if you want to, allow the end user to customize what the form looks like at runtime. So here's the form at runtime. And I'm going to, let's move category around a bit. So category, so trademark category model. Let's change this around a little bit as well. So let me save that. And that's what the form now looks like. We have trademark category model, and I've altered the the URL and the price position as well. And because it's a layout control that's underneath this, we can resize, and the form actually resizes as well. The layout control has been around for a long time, and it's just one of the, I feel like it's one of the best kept secrets we have. The layout control is fabulous. If you're doing a lot of data entry type forms, use the layout control. It's great. I mean, it just allows you to resize things. It lines things up for you. So look at the way that's all lined up. It's brilliant. What can I say? But anyway, this is more about the in-place edit form. So so let's cancel that. So that's the last demo of the day. Let me just jump back to my PowerPoint slides. So Delphi, XE6, and C++ built XE6, and VCL 14.1 go great together. So a quick recap, several new controls with VCL 14.1. We have the spreadsheet, we have the map control, we have the gauges, enhancements to existing controls are there, and as I said before, the new controls are all about Delphi 2010 plus. The enhancements will apply across all versions supported. Thank you. So Amanda, what kind of questions do we have?
Hey, Julian. So we had a couple questions come in.
Okay.
One of which was, I have a spreadsheet application which was initially written in Delphi 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I will be porting this over to Delphi XE6.
Okay.
The spreadsheet is created and filled programmatically.
Okay.
With the new spreadsheet control,
mm-hmm.
will I have any issues with the porting, or will all my spreadsheet program code smoothly port?
No, it's not going to smoothly port. The API, if you like, for the spreadsheet control has changed. One of the things we're going to be doing fairly shortly after the release is providing guidance about how to convert an existing application using, shall we say, the version 1 spreadsheet to the version 2 spreadsheet, where this may also include some kind of program which will go through your code and convert from one API to the other. But in reality, the APIs are very different. So there's not going to be an easy way to port, unfortunately.
All right, from Richard, I'm guessing the spreadsheet control doesn't support Excel macros, but can it open XLSX, XLS files with macros in?
It can open them. We just ignore the macros, and you're right. The macro, there is no macro engine with the spreadsheet control.
Okay. Does the map control work for mobile, iOS and Android apps?
Nope. This is not FireMonkey. This is VCL.
Plans for Google Maps support?
Google Maps is a big old can of worms. You have to go and have a look at the license for Google Maps. You really do. In essence, if you're writing a web application, Google Maps is okay. I'm paraphrasing here. If you're writing any kind of other application, like a thick client with Delphi, then there are all kinds of restrictions. And so I'm going to say Google Maps support is way off in the future. I can't see us doing anything with Google Maps until Google Maps change their basic license. Google is more about the web than Windows applications, for example. So go and read about Google Maps licensing. It's a hoot, but the way it stands at the moment, it's unlikely.
From Eric, does the spreadsheet control support all the current Excel functions or just a subset like it does now?
I'm going to say it's a subset, but it's pretty much a whole subset. I don't know what functions we don't support, but they're going to be fairly esoteric.
Okay. Dimitar I think it's a comment, I'm not sure if it's a question. He just says, I never got why I want to embed Excel in my apps.
It's all about data analysis, really. There are a lot of places, I used to work for one a long time ago, which actually use spreadsheets as a way to analyze data. The biggest problem about that is there was no way for you as part of the IT department or the developer or whatever to verify that these spreadsheets were actually correct or not. And the ability for you to display a spreadsheet control inside your application means you automatically have a lot more control over how the end user uses that data, how the end user is going to manipulate that data. Maybe they're going to be producing charts or some kind of actionable purchases or sales based upon the data and so on and so forth. So you if you like, taking a little bit of control away from the end user and adding that control into your application means that automatically you're going to get a better result from the end user's data analysis. The other thing is by putting a spreadsheet control inside your application, as I showed, you can create your own custom functions. So say, I used to work for a bank, and one of the things that I had to program very early on is generating what's called a yield curve. You supply a whole bunch of interest rate data into a bunch of cells, and then you generate what's called a yield curve. That is so prone to error by somebody typing in formulas in cells. It's untrue. The ability for you to say create a yield curve based upon here's a range of data is you could test it, you can your application your unit test can actually test the function. You don't have to worry about the end user knowing what the hell they're doing. You can just provide a custom function called, I don't know, yield curve. It's just amazing. Let's put it like that. But in essence, if you want to provide data analysis to your end users within your application and be able to save that spreadsheet file off to, say, a database, not just a file in a file system on some PC out there, using a spreadsheet control is infinitely better.
Paul comments, he says, I use the spreadsheet to allow users to copy data from anywhere and then generate flowcharts from the data and the columns. You can't do that in Excel with just a few lines of code.
Cool. Brilliant.
Can you paste from Excel into your spreadsheet control?
Yes. Shall we try it? Hey, let's try it. I'm sure the answer is yes. It sounds like a basic feature, so let me jump back to my, oh, cool. So file, close all that. No. Right, let me open up my spreadsheet. I love doing things where, I don't know the answer. Tum-ti-tum.
Exciting, thrilling.
Oh, I know, it's just cool.
Edge of your seat.
Oh, it is. Let me run this. We'll do the basic spreadsheet here. Okay. Alrighty, let's run that. Let me start up Excel on my other machine. I'm running Delphi in a VM here, so Excel. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Here's Excel. And cool beans. What have we got here? Let's highlight this lot. Press copy. And then go down here. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Let's go over here. And here we go. Control V. Ooh, didn't do very well. Okay, it looks like a bug. It partly works, but partly doesn't. Maybe I was supposed to give it some room. Oh, maybe that is the problem. Let's go down here. Dun, dun, dun. Sounds like some. Oh no, no, it's okay. There's some issues with it, but it's a bunch of. Drag this over. So I'm going to say yes, it should work. Obviously, we have a couple of bugs to fix.
Richard just says, the reason I ask is that several times a month I have to import data from a spreadsheet into a database, and the format is never the same, so interacting with Excel can be fiddly.
Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree. So, yes, it should work. But obviously, if I don't paste in column A, things go a bit haywire.
From Eric, he says, does 14.1 include the same demos that were shown today?
Yes. In fact, I was just using the demos provided as part of 14.1.
All right. Well, of course, we always get this question. What else is planned for VCL 14.2 this year? Roadmap.
So 14.2, right, there are a couple of things to say here. One is obviously we're going to be enhancing these new controls. So we're going to be enhancing them as minor versions, and we're going to be enhancing them as big major versions. So, for example, at the moment, there's no charting available with the spreadsheet control. It would be good if we did have charting with the spreadsheet control. I'm not saying that we're going to do that as part of 40.2. I'm just basically, if you like, pointing a hole where we need to address the situation. The gauges, obviously, we need a linear gauge. Things like progress bars. That's a kind of linear gauge. So that's got to be done, and so on. I mean, there's always enhancements, and one way to look at it, I've said this before, is to look at what we're releasing for Windows Forms in .NET. And what we release in Windows Forms after a release or two appears in VCL, because they're both talking about Windows applications. They're just different platforms for creating Windows applications. So 14.2, I don't think we've actually decided on the the full list of features, and that's something for later on this week and next week. But I don't know what new controls are going to be there, but I certainly know that these new controls I was talking about today are going to be all enhanced for 14.2, and as well as new features in the grid and so on and so forth.
So Julian, we did get a question about FireMonkey.
Oh, we did.
Any plans for FireMonkey support so I can use DevExpress on mobile?
Oh, look, a new slide. And FireMonkey. Mobile. I view FireMonkey as being two separate runtimes. Sorry, Jim, that's the way I look at it. The first part of FireMonkey is the mobile part, so iOS and Android. We have no plans at present to support FireMonkey for iOS and Android. Several reasons for this. One is we have a product called DevExtreme, where we support iOS, Android, Windows Phone, Tizen with HTML5 and JavaScript. There's a full application framework. There are several widgets. We support PhoneGap and Cordova for creating business applications on phones and tablets. So at present, mobile is certainly not this year, probably not even next year. We'll keep on looking at mobile FireMonkey and see how people are using it and what kind of feedback we get from customers. But I would have to say, no plans at present for mobile. Desktop. By desktop, I mean Windows and Mac OS X. This is, for me, different. I'm sorry, you can't get a grid on a phone. And our biggest control in the VCL subscription is the grid. So it makes more sense to target these major controls for desktop only. Now, certainly not this year. In fact, part of our discussions about 14.2 is going to be resurrecting a few little Spike applications we wrote a year or so ago. So we're going to spike FireMonkey again to see what the runtime looks like now. As far as we're concerned, we require certain features of the runtime to make it easier, if you like, to convert our VCL code over to FireMonkey. The other one is performance. We wrote a small kind of gallery type application with drag and drop and all that kind of stuff. And I do believe, Jim, we sent it to you at Embarcadero. And the performance just was not there, neither on Windows nor Mac OS X. So we're reviewing the changes to be made over the past few releases for FireMonkey for desktop to see whether it's at a point now where we could feasibly create some controls for Windows and Mac OS X. So not this year, but we'll certainly think about it for 2015.
Richard comments, for what it's worth, I completely agree with your FireMonkey analysis. A CX grid on iPad would be like a dancing bear, amazing but useless. But CX grid on a Mac OS desktop could be useful.
Oh no, it certainly could. I mean, I have my MacBook Pro here. It's my spare machine. I totally agree. I mean, I understand how Embarcadero are positioning FireMonkey. I just do not happen to agree particularly. So I think I still prefer thinking about it as mobile versus desktop. Desktop, I mean, it's ultra feasible. Mobile, yeah, not really. Not at the stage we're at.
From Paul, any syntax highlighting for your TCX-rich edit controls?
something for us to discuss for 14.2. The team is there in the background, so they're making notes about what people are asking, obviously. So nothing yet.
All right, that's it for the questions.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending, and thanks for the great questions. Over to you, Amanda.
Thank you, Julian. Other upcoming webinars, sipping from the data fire hose with DevExtreme, our mobile controls, July 8th, presented by Paul Usher, and Julian Bucknall will be back with us. They'll investigate how your DevExtreme web apps can get at that most important and vital resource, your data. Paul and Julian will take an existing web app that uses the new data grid widget and demonstrate the different DevExtreme data providers. They'll go from sourcing the data from client-side JavaScript arrays to setting up OData, publishing web services, and maybe even show off a bit of PHP. So you can feel free to register for that upcoming webinar at devexpress.com/webinars. And that is it for this one. We have officially, as of this morning, released VCL 14.1, so please download and try it today. Also, when you leave this webinar,
Yay.
You will see, yay!
Yay! It's released!
You will see one survey question. Please take a second to comment. We appreciate it. All right. Thanks for joining us. And of course, thank you for choosing DevExpress. Bye-bye.